The date is Friday, the 5th of March, 2021, and we've just been to see Brother. Open the house. Okay, hi there. Now, Vicky was unable to come to see the show, so I am very pleased to say that I am joined by the amazing, wonderful, and brilliant Helen Reid. Hi, Helen.
Hi, James, you all right?
Yeah, very good. Thank you very much for coming on the show.
No worries.
So we're going to do a little bit of a disclaimer at the start. You are a little bit connected to this production, aren't you?
Just a little, yeah.
In what way?
The book writer is my daughter, Annabelle. The
Annabelle Matali
musical
Reid.
Annabelle Matali Reid.
Wow. And yes, and I had the pleasure of teaching her when she was only a little child. So wow, she has gone on to great things. This is is this her second or third musical that she's written?
Um, she's written a number of musicals. This is the second one that's gone into production,
Yeah.
so to speak. So yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a little bit of information about it before we get onto it. So it was written by, now, apologies if I get the name wrong, Robin Simios de Silva. Is that how you pronounce it?
That sounds about right.
Brilliant. Whenever I do this bit, I always get the pronunciation wrong, so don't worry. And Annabelle Matali Reid. It was directed by Tom Jackson Greaves.
Greaves, yeah.
Yeah. Musical director, Jack Trzynski.
Good try. Jinsky.
There we go. Lighting Zoe Spur. And our actors were Melanie Laban, Georgina Lloyd Owen, Sam Peggs, and Robin Simios de Silva. And it was at the Southwark Playhouse. And it was 90 minutes with no interval. And this was brilliant because it was a live theatrical performance, but also available over Zoom and the internet because of the lockdown, which was great, really. Okay, so first thoughts. What do you think of it?
Well, as a piece of art, I love it. Obviously, whenever I go to see anything that my daughter's involved in, I go in with a certain sense of anxiety that it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
But I did see the workshop of it a year ago at the Turbine Theatre, and loved it then, and loved it now. I think it's a lovely, warm, charming story, family.
It's such a refreshing musical to watch, and it reminded me that sort of undertones of Caroline or Change. I don't know if you saw that, but it's quite a small set, only 4 actors, and everything. So it's not overly played. That there's just enough set to create the illusion of this house. So we should say it's based in St Ives, and it focuses around a family whose the mother is an artist, and it looks at loss, but also the protagonist is somebody who's gone through transgender, and those two kind of themes run throughout the musical, but they're not overplayed, and they're subtly brought in throughout the story, so you don't feel at any point that it's kind of run down your throat, or it's like, this is what we're talking about, bang bang bang. It's just, I love it's kind of, when I say gentle, I don't want it to sound disparaging. It just gently takes you along on the ride.
Well, I think it's just subtly bringing in family dynamics, isn't it? That every family has a different dynamic, and I think that was the charming thing for me about it, is it was just family.
Yeah, and
yep.
Just talking about the actors as well. I mean, wow, they really found some talent there. The 4 actors, not not only were they performing, acting and singing, obviously,
Mm.
the three of them also played the instruments as well.
Yes, right. They're all phenomenal musicians. Yeah.
So I mean, they must have been exhausted at the end of it because
Mm.
they just didn't stop. If they, if they weren't on stage, because everybody stayed on stage virtually the whole time as well,
Yeah.
which I liked. Um, but So I'm right in saying that Robin wrote the music for this, yeah?
You wrote the music and lyrics, and
Yeah,
Annabelle wrote the book and the script.
absolutely. So let's just talk a little bit about the music. What do you think of it?
I thought there were some really wonderful songs that just stayed in my mind quite a long time afterwards. A couple of songs, and one of I keep forgetting the name of it, but particularly I just kept singing it over and over head.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah, I agree. I mean, the songs aren't. We're not talking Andrew Lloyd Webber here, are we? It's not like big, massive show tunes. However, yeah, I absolutely agree. There's one song where the lyrics are so quick. I agree. Two or three of the songs are really standout numbers, and they kind of stuck in your mind. But I was thinking, I'd really like to have the CD. It's
mm,
they're good songs to listen
they are
to.
very good songs, and I think yes, you haven't got the sort of massive showstoppers maybe, but you've got songs that tell the story and they're pertinent to the story.
Yeah,
They've
and I
got a
kind of
different
disagree with that
meaning.
because I think the song "Brother," I don't know if it's called "Brother," but the one at the end I thought that was a bit of a showstopper
Yeah,
myself.
yeah,
Um, so your daughter wrote the story, wrote the book.
yeah.
Uh, I don't think it's fair to ask what you think of it, so I'm going to say what I thought of it. Again,
Mm,
it's that kind of subtlety, really. Um, it it really kept my interest. There is a mystery in what's going on and what's happened. I don't want to give any spoilers away, but it is kind of edge of your seat stuff,
mm,
and I think she has that smoking gun throughout. There's a bit all about a stained glass window, and
mm,
and you're wondering why, and you find out that the window's broken, but you don't know why. And what I really liked is that all the things that were kind of placed at the start were all explained. So, for example, there's the typewriter becomes very important, and it's mentioned throughout, and then
mm.
it
Yeah.
becomes a big point at the end. So, yeah, excellent stuff. What about lighting, special effects? How do you think they do you think they created the world well?
I actually thought the lighting was really great.
Yeah, me too.
Certain points, especially Cassie, the mum. I mean, she's such a phenomenal performer and actor.
Yes, a
Brilliant,
standout performer.
absolutely brilliant. And I mean, she's a very, very, very well established, experienced actor. And
Mm,
I just thought some of the lighting on her moods,
yeah,
and her sort of different parts of the story, and when she was, coming back as, maybe when they're sort of telling the story in the past.
I agree. She's a very strong performer, and what she was able to do, she kind of has a command over the stage without pulling focus.
Mm,
Uh, there was so much subtlety in what she was doing, but it was such a strong performance from her. I couldn't take my eyes off her, but not taken away from
mm,
the other three actually. I mean, Robin has a phenomenal voice,
yes,
but again,
definitely. Mm,
they all do, and I thought the brother also exceptional. And I did like the characterization of I can't remember the name of the character she played, but she played kind of an arts podcaster. And we
mm.
know how arrogant podcasters can be. I really warmed to her by the end of it. Um, Anything that you didn't like?
Wouldn't be about the story. It would be more about the pace of it because I think what was lacking was the live audience.
Mm,
And having seen it in its first iteration, it the pace you got, the more the warmth, the more of the humour came out. Which I think with the pace of it being live, but without a actual live audience, I think the pace was slightly different.
yeah, I'd certainly like to go and see it again.
Mm,
Uh, um, I just also though want to mention the work they did capturing it and filming it.
mm,
I thought that because it was a live performance,
yeah,
which was good. So there wasn't any pre-recorded. So
no,
um, the camera work was great. The thing with the theatre is you want to choose where you're looking, really, don't you? And unfortunately, with film, it's more directed. But I thought they did that really well, and they were able to capture some of the close-ups and all that kind of stuff. But um,
mm,
I think because the set of the stage was quite a small set really. It was able to you were able to get it all in there without it being lost and tiny, which can happen sometimes on the screen.
No, I just sort of think in terms of the movement on the stage, I think that would have been different had it been with a live audience.
Yeah.
And I think it could have been on that.
Well, I think you and me will be on the front row when this comes back, when the theatres are open, because it certainly isn't going to go away up in this show.
Absolutely.
All right, so we're going to take a break and then we'll come back and score it. So how are you doing in lockdown, Helen? How are you filling the void? What are you doing?
Spending lots of time with my beautiful granddaughter and my beautiful daughter, so which is good. I don't know.
Are you looking forward to get back into the theatre when they're open?
So much so, yeah. I think it's one of the things that so many people have missed, and I think has been very undervalued throughout lockdown.
Really has,
important.
Yeah.
Really
think about it, and hats off to Annabelle and her crew for doing this. I can't say enough because I've seen a few recorded theatre performances, and we've had quite a mixed reaction to them. Some have been awful, and some have been very good. But watching it live, really made a difference for me. All right, so we're going to score it. This is going to be very tough for you, but try and be as impartial as you can. It's all out of 10. So performances. What are you going to give it out of 10?
10.
So there we go. It gets a 9 from me. Staging and technical, I am going to give it a 9.
I'll go 9 as well.
Okay, good stuff. Okay, narrative and plot. Right. We would both be in absolute trouble if we didn't both give that one 10. Originality.
Oh, well, I think it's quite an original story.
Yeah, I'd give it a 10. It's really original. Yeah. I haven't seen this issue done like this before. And I know we didn't talk a lot about where it's located, but that's really important. That this house in St Ives, and it's based on a place that you go to, isn't it?
It is. It's based on a house that we. It's a house that we visit, and it's a friend of my aunt's who owns this beautiful house overlooking the bay and overlooking all the places that were mentioned, and it has a stained glass window.
So but that's the nice thing. You really get a feeling of this house and how it works, because I imagine, I don't know if I'm wrong, but this artist studio was at the top of the house at the very, and at the very top is this stained glass window, but then outside is the sea, and there's a whole bit where they're talking about getting cream teas, huge scones and all this kind of, and you're there, it's brilliant. So 10 from you for originality, I take it. Yeah. Yep. Costumes, I gave it a 9.
Yeah. It was under, costumes, just clothes, really, weren't they?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Music.
Again, 10.
Good stuff. I'm going to give it a 9 because some of the songs for me weren't quite as strong as the other ones, but I'm not taking away for how brilliant it was, and the performances were brilliant. And
orchestrations were fab as well.
Say again?
Orchestrations were fab.
Oh, yes. And was it worth it?
Absolutely.
How many out of 10?
10.
Yeah, it gets a fat 10 for
and
me.
I'd pay more to see it.
So I'm just going to add up these scores. Okay, so it gets a star rating of 4.79, which is incredibly high because it's out of a 5-star rating. So 4.79 is amazing. And surprisingly, it puts it on our 2021 leaderboard right at the top. But we haven't been seeing anything else. So, Helen, have you enjoyed being on the show?
Well, it's different. It's certainly different.
I know you're a little bit nervous, but thank you so much. And as you can hear, that is the theatre bell, which means we are out of time. So the curtain's down, the theatre's dark, and that was 15-minute theatre. Good night.
Good night.
If you're brave enough to have your theatre production reviewed, please contact us at 15minutetheatre@gmail.com. Find us on Twitter and please rate and review us on iTunes. Thanks for listening.